Hello, everybody, and happy International Women's Day. Welcome to Aviation Specialists of Elevate Aviation's virtual cross-country tour, live from Old Alberta. We are so excited to have you join us here today and can't wait for you to hear from our speaker lineup about their amazing careers in aviation. The town of Olds is on the traditional territories of the peoples of the Treaty 7 region of Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, as well as the Tucina First Nations and the Stoney Nakoda Nations. This area is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. Elevate Aviation is a nonprofit organization that helps women, youth, and underrepresented groups to thrive and succeed through careers in aviation. Elevate Aviation has programs all across Canada that educate people about aviation careers and provide support to those who need it. You can view all of our programs on our website at elevateaviation.ca. There you will find information on our Learning Center, mentorship, bursary programs, our airtime webinars, and of course, this year's virtual cross-country tour. The cross-country tour started back in 2015 to showcase the many careers available and the paths that one can take to join the exciting world of aviation. This year, we are excited to present the tour virtually. We hope you enjoy the presentation today and ask any questions that you have throughout the presentation. You can use the chat feature in Zoom, and the moderator, Emily, will compile the questions throughout the speaker's presentation. At the end, the moderator will present the questions to the speakers during the Q&A. So to start off, my name is Cassandra Hepp, and I am the Northern Ambassador for Elevate Aviation. Outside of Elevate, I work as an aircraft maintenance engineer in Iqaluit, Nunavut. I've spent the majority of my career working in the Canadian Arctic. I started my apprenticeship in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, which is where I fell in love with the North. After, I spent a brief amount of time in Calgary before moving to Yellowknife in 2018. I've been Canadian North for just over 2 years, and I transferred from Yellowknife to Iqaluit last July. A fun fact about me is that I have been to almost every community in Nunavut, including Alert, which is the most northern habited place in the world. I truly enjoy Northern Canada, and I love aviation for all the adventures that it has taken me on. So enough about me now. I would like to introduce to you our amazing speakers today. So we have Jessica Walker, who's a jet engine specialist, Kimberly Ballantyne, who is a recruitment specialist, and Nicole Power, who is a pilot. So thank you all for joining us today. And Jessica, I'll hand the floor over to you. Do you want to tell us about being a jet engine specialist?
Awesome. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here and be part of this panel today, especially for International Women's Day. My name is Jess Walker. I currently work for Manitoba Aerospace as a jet engine specialist. And today I'm going to share with you how I became interested in aviation, my past experiences working in primarily male fields, and how I've overcome the struggles of being a woman in the trades industry. Growing up in a military family, my love for aviation started at a young age. I idolized my dad and his dedication to the Royal Canadian Air Force. We spent family days on base, going on tours, spending time in flight simulators, and I even got the opportunity to sit in the pilot seat of an Aurora while it was flying. One year in Nova Scotia, we were at an air show, waiting to see my dad fly, and he came over the announcing system to give a shout out to me personally. That is the moment that made me realize I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to join the Air Force, become a pilot. My dream come true is to be on the snowbird team. I went through the nest of the applicants, but my dream was crushed when I was rejected from the military for medical reasons. So here I was, 18 years old. I had no plan to follow and no idea where to begin. I'd always enjoyed hiking and being outside as much as I could, so I moved out west to the Rocky Mountains. I ended up getting a job as a tour guide on the Columbia Ice Field. I went through training to get my Class 2 bus license and started driving ice explorers on the glacier. I would get all sorts of funny looks from people getting on my bus, comments about my gender and was I even old enough to drive this machine. One of my most memorable moments was when I was heading out at the same time as another bus, so a double tour, and a man had asked me if he could get on the other bus going out. I knew why he was asking. It was because he didn't want to take a tour with a female driver. And this wasn't the first time that something like this had happened. My coworker, who was heading out with me, said no to the man when he asked if he could get on his bus instead. He told him to either go on my bus or to sit and wait for the tour to come back. So the man ended up coming on my bus, asked if I even knew how to drive the bus, to which I replied, "If you think you can drive it, be my guest. If not, take your seat and let me do my job." The best part was the $20 tip that his wife gave me at the end of the tour when it was finished. My best friend Luke was working as a mechanic on the Ice Explorers at the time and asked if I wanted to shadow him for my day off. I did, and I absolutely fell in love with the machine, not Luke. I finally had something that was mentally exciting that I had wanted to learn about. We spent a few times working on different things and problem solving together, and I knew that this is something I wanted to do. So with guidance and support from Luke, he having been through it already, I went through the process to become an apprentice. I started an apprenticeship and worked in 3 different shops to become familiar with on-road as well as off-road equipment. I ended up going to the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology and was the only girl in my class every year. One of my teachers said to me, "We have 2 types of women who come through to become heavy techs. One who's looking for a husband, and the others who want it. And I can tell you're not the one who's looking for a husband." It was a bit inappropriate, but I took it as a compliment and finished that year at the top of the class. I constantly had people asking me inappropriate questions, and I accepted it as being part of the trade. Although I wish now I had stuck up a little bit more for myself and all women. There's always going to be men who don't know how to work with women in that trade, so I felt I constantly had to prove my worth. Working long hours, taking extra shifts, fixing other people's work when it was done incorrectly, I wouldn't have had it any other way. It made me a better technician, it helped me to have more drive, and it gave me the skills to prove I was competent. Having people question whether or not I could do a certain job was demotivating. I had to consistently remind myself that I could do this and I was going to prove them wrong. While I was in my second year apprenticeship at the ice field, we had one day where someone slashed a bunch of tires on our buses, leaving us with only 2 serviceable units out of 16. There were only 2 of us on that day. It was peak season, so here I was, busy ripping off 150-pound tires and replacing them when I noticed a man watching me. Eventually, after about an hour and 3 tires later, I walked over there and I said rudely, "Can I help you with something?" And he said, "I've never seen somebody work so hard. Whatever you're getting paid here, I'll pay you $10 an hour more to come work for me." So I ended up accepting his offer, and I ran a service truck for a towing and emergency response company in Banff. Running the truck, it was always just myself, my tools, parts, and a sat phone for the cell service dead zones throughout the mountains. There were many cases where I would arrive on scene, and the truck driver would ask if the mechanic was on his way. And I would always respond confidently, "I am the mechanic, and I'm here to get you back on the road." I always keep my personal safety a priority, and if I am ever uncomfortable in a situation, I won't stay. Usually I would put up with inappropriate comments to a point, tell them to stop or I wouldn't fix their truck, and most people would stop being rude and wait for me to be done my work. I would joke sometimes and say there's an extra fee for sexual harassment, but that was just a bit of my own lack of confidence showing through and wanting to be accepted. You should never make a joke or seem like what men are saying to you is acceptable when it is not. I always remind myself it's their own insecurity showing because they had to watch a woman come and fix something that they did not know how to fix. I can count on one hand the amount of times I was unable to fix something on the side of the highway, which led to gaining a great deal of respect in the trade, which led to repeat customers and contracts with larger companies. Some days I worked so long, I would call my mom on the way back from a service call to stay awake. No matter the time, she would always answer and we would catch up while keeping me alert and awake driving. As much as I enjoyed that job, after a while, the long hours, little sleep, exhausting work, and the few awful men that I had to deal with took its toll. If you take one thing away from this speech, it's to find people that support you. I am lucky that there's 2 people in this world who will love and support me no matter what. My parents. I decided I needed a change, so I moved back to where I was born, here in Moose Jaw, to restart my life. My parents were a huge reason that I took a leap of faith to switch fields. They said, "You won't get the position if you don't apply. What do you have to lose?" Their confidence in me is what got me to apply for the job I do today. I was so excited when I got the job offer, as Magellan had looked past having no previous aircraft experience and trusted that my mechanical skills and abilities from my trade would be sufficient background. I had just made history. I was the first person to be hired with no aircraft experience, no military experience to work on this engine. This meant my training package had to be tailored to me specifically, as no one had done this before. This consisted of many online courses, the RCAF type course on the J85, and hundreds of hours of on-the-job training just to be eligible to work towards getting my qualifications. Becoming qualified was a 2-year process of working hard, reading the technical orders, studying the engine, and learning from the different people in the shop. I was blessed to have 3 wonderful mentors who each taught me in their own way. Not one of these men were inappropriate. Not one made jokes about my gender. What was happening? I wasn't used to this. Is what I've been putting up with in my other field not normal? I came in here and I was respected right away. That absolutely blew my mind. Already the difference between my field and the work environment here in the aircraft industry was life-changing. I could be myself. I didn't have to try to be one of the guys. I could just be me. I am so grateful and lucky to have a team that supports me and treats me as an equal here in our shop. I absolutely love my job. It has taught me to focus my concentration, slow down, breathe, and take my time on the task before me. It is a huge responsibility to be preparing engines for flying. It is not like a vehicle where you could just pull over to the side of the road if the engine quits working. If there's an engine problem, the pilot is either doing a forced landing or ejecting from our plane. So I take my job very seriously to ensure all pieces and parts go together in the right order, with the right torques and proper tolerances, sometimes as small as 1,000th of an inch. Paperwork is extremely important in aviation world, documenting maintenance and ensuring that you have the up-to-date technical orders specifically. Half of my job is paperwork, and that's for a good reason. My job is both challenging and rewarding. Today, I am the first ever civilian without military experience or aviation experience to hold qualifications on the J85 CAN 40 engine. I hold qualifications not only to rebuild and maintain, but to do the engine run-up testing required here in the testing facility. But the best part, I'm a young, eager, hardworking woman who broke that barrier and did something that hadn't been done before. Life may not go exactly as you planned. You may change careers several times, like myself, but as long as you find something that excites you and you are happy doing it, is what really matters. I work for Manitoba Aerospace as a contractor for 431 Air Demonstration Squadron, working exclusively on the rebuild and engine maintenance of the Snowbird's engine. My dream has come true. By taking care of their engines, I'm unofficially part of the Snowbird team. I have so much gratitude for the men and women before me who have put in the hard work in creating a gender equal work environment. And a heartfelt thank you to those of you watching who will keep that movement going forward. Remember that you never have to put up with inappropriate comments. They do not belong in the workplace. Have confidence in your knowledge and abilities, and don't let anyone make you think less of yourself because you are a woman. So in closing, 3 things I'd like to remind you of. 1, find people who support you. 2, find something that excites you as your career. Personally, aviation's the best. And number 3, dreams do come true, so don't ever give up. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Jessica. That story was so amazing. And I can definitely relate to how you feel when you said you always felt like you needed to prove yourself, because being a woman in maintenance, I can just definitely relate to that. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Kim Ballantyne, who's the recruitment specialist at Manitoba Aerospace. So Kim, you've got the floor.
Oh, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. So I'll just be playing my video here shortly, so just give me a moment. Tensa, my name is Kimberly Ballantyne, and I'm from a northern reservation called Pascagoula Nation. I grew up in an isolated part of our community called Umberville, which is a Métis settlement. I was raised by my late maternal grandparents, Flora and Malcolm Crane. Indigenous communities face challenges such as racism, poverty, intergenerational trauma, and other social issues. When I was 4 years old, I shared with my grandfather, Malcolm, who I was very close to, that I wanted to become a pilot when I was older. I remember looking up at the sky and would watch planes descend on a daily basis. I found out later that we lived by Mississippi Airport, which is now owned by Matthias Colomb Cree Nation, also known as Pucketawagan. Growing up, my grandfather encouraged me to pursue my dream in education. I made a promise to both my grandparents that I would finish high school for them. In 2004, I graduated from high school at Margaret Barber Collegiate Institute. Shortly after, my grandfather passed away from lung cancer. And that was a very difficult time for my family and I. I then started the process of applying for funding from my band. And most people do not know that the waiting list to get band funding to attend post-secondary school is quite long. So despite the waiting to get funding, I never forgot about my dream of becoming a pilot and completing my education. So about 10 years ago, I left the PA and traveled the 700 kilometers with just a bag of clothes, my TV, and portfolio that had my resume and certificates I would need to get a job as a server out here in Winnipeg. It was very hard leaving my community to come to university. I didn't know my way around the city, and I had to learn how to use the transit system. And during my first university, I became, I remember having to take 3 different buses just to make it to class every day. Also, 3 days after arriving in Winnipeg, I found a job at Cherry Creek Cafe, where I would remain employed all throughout university. And it was also very tough during this time period because there was times I was homeless and was living a rough life by couch surfing with friends or family. Sometimes I didn't have enough money for food, but I always made sure I went to school, no matter what the circumstances were. In my final year of university, I had my daughter Nova during spring break and was back in class 4 days later. I completed my Bachelor of Arts degree in 2014, which is a monumental achievement because I'm the first in my family to graduate from university. After graduation, I was hired by the Center for Aboriginal Human Resource Development as an employment counselor, and I did well in my position. And so 5 months later, I was promoted to the Director of Employment Services. And in 2016, I welcomed my son, Leonardo. So being able to finish high school and earn my Bachelor of Arts degree has helped create a safer and more comfortable life for my children and me. And working as Manitoba Aerospace's recruitment specialist for the past 2 years has been rewarding. And I believe my exposure to planes landing near my home in a Pascagoula Cree Nation made a difference in my life. I've always had a passion for aerospace and aviation, and it has been my lifelong dream to become a pilot. So in order to pursue that dream, in 2020, I applied to the First Nations Technical Institute for entry into their flight program. Hundreds of Indigenous students apply every year, and I was one of 8 candidates selected for the 2020-2021 program during the pandemic. So while working my full-time job and looking after my 2 small children, I was able to finish ground school through Zoom this past spring. And this past June, I traveled to Tyendinaga, Ontario to complete the in-person practicum phase of the flight training. And this was one of the most difficult decisions I ever made in my entire life because I was going to be apart from my children, Nova and Leo, for 13 weeks. The flight training was very intense. Nothing about it was easy. And it entailed flying 7 days a week, up to 3 times a day, depending on the weather. So this, I was able to accomplish my childhood dream and pass my flight test for my private pilot's license on September 3rd. Most pilots in training take at least a year to finish the flight hours needed to qualify for their flight test. My class and I did it in 3 months, and I have logged over 90 hours flight time. I'm also the first female Indigenous pilot from my community, a Pasco Cree Nation. Most recently named the Manitoba Ambassador for Elevate Aviation. And I'm the 2021 Post-Secondary Trailblazer recipient for the Nellie McClung Scholarship Foundation. Very thankful thankful and honored for these achievements. I failed 9 other times trying to get my pilot's license, and on my 10th try, I finally did it. I have persevered and succeeded through a lot of hard situations, and I owe it all to my support system and to never giving up and asking for help when I needed it. I wanted to take this time to personally thank my family, friends, and my team at Manitoba Aerospace. My mom, Esther, my brother, Hank, my flight instructor, Jeff, and to Sarah and Jamie for making sure I didn't quit when I was at flight school. And I'd like to thank my team at Manitoba Aerospace, Wendell, Barb, Alice, Sahar, Heidi, who have supported me all throughout my journey and dream of earning my pilot's license. So after completing my private pilot's license, I'm now working on my commercial pilot's license. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentations we have for the remainder of the afternoon. All right, so thank you for taking time out of your day to watch my presentation. So just give, I guess, the lead back to that page.
Wow, thank you so much, Kim. I just want to read you a comment here that someone wrote that so far both the speakers are, have her in tears. So very inspiring, which is so true. Like, good for you. 3 months to get your PPL is just so amazing. Like, it's awesome. So good for you. So yeah, thank you so much. And now I'm gonna introduce Nicole Power, who is the Air Tindy Twin Otter captain. So you've got the floor, Nicole.
Hi everyone, I prepared a video as well, so I'll just start that here. Yeah, just one sec. Hey, I'm Nicole. I'm a captain on the Twin Otter at Air Tindy. We operate out of Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. We're a northern-based airline. Here at Air Tindy, we operate a variety of aircraft, from Dash 7s to Twin Otters to King Airs. We fly them all over the Arctic. We fly into communities, exploration sites in the north, we go to mines. We operate the Twin Otter on wheels, skis, and floats, so there's a lot to learn. When I joined Air Tindy in 2016, I started out as a flight attendant loadmaster on the Dash 7. I then progressed to a Twin Otter first officer, then Dash 7 first officer, and now I currently am a Twin Otter captain. Flying in the north has taught me so much. It's been a lot of fun. Today, I want to bring you guys along on a scheduled service flight to a community just east of Yellowknife. It's about a 45-minute flight. Come see what it's like flying the Twin Otter.
We start our day signing in with dispatch. Then we head out to the aircraft to do cockpit preparation checks, a walk around where we check the oils, and then we start loading the aircraft. Once the aircraft is loaded, we head into cargo, finalize the passenger and freight manifest, and complete the weight and balance portion of the flight plan. I love flying because every day is different. When I was a first officer, I was constantly learning from different captains. Now as a captain, I get to apply the things I learned and pass it along to my co-pilots. Every day, the weather and the loads are different, which keeps me thinking and challenged.
Subsea east of Yellowknife, City 201 Twin Otter. We're 30 miles up the Yellowknife Sierra 74 line. Hey guys, so we're just airborne Yellowknife, level 5,500 en route to Lipsake. Lipsake is a Denny community located 120 miles to the east of Yellowknife along the east arm of Great Slave Lake. We bring them groceries and freight, as well as flies passengers in and out. So enjoy the view.
Once at our destination, it's a quick offload and reload and then back in the air.
I hope you enjoyed the flight. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about flying in the north.
So that was just a little day in the life of a Twin Otter pilot in Yellowknife.
That was so amazing. I'm sure I speak for everybody that just watched that video where I'm like That was so cool. Like, thank you and your team who created that video. That just shows the North so perfectly. And like, I just have such a soft spot for Yellowknife. So thank you for creating that.
No worries.
I'm going to pass it off to Emily now, the moderator for the Q&A. And I already see we have lots of questions for Nicole. So I'll hand it over to Emily and she can run the Q&A. So thank you.
Thanks, Cassandra. So hi, everyone. Today is such a special day with it being International Women's Day. And what better way to celebrate than have 3 amazing speakers present their stories. So thank you to all 3 of you for your wonderful journeys and experiences. I think that it's so incredible that we can share with everyone who's on here some unique perspective into their careers and into their training and how they got to where they are. So we are going to be starting a Q&A session with each of the speakers, and we might bring them on as kind of a panel as well. In the meantime, if you have any burning questions about their careers or maybe something very specific, feel free to throw it into the chat and they will be able to answer live. So with that said, we are going to bring back Jessica, if you don't mind coming back onto video. I'm going to put you on the spot here, and we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A with you.
Oh, it says I can't start my video because you've disabled it.
No problem. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
One day we will all be in person again. All right, try that, Jessica. That should work.
Perfect. There you go.
Awesome. Welcome back. Thank you so much for your presentation. One thing that I think is so interesting that you really raised in your presentation was just the vulnerability about your journey. Often we don't talk about that. We kind of shy away from the challenges that we've overcome, the things that we've experienced, but you just took that head on, and I give you a lot of kudos for that, because it takes a lot not only to go through that, but it also takes a lot to overcome it and then to speak about it after. That's amazing. So good for you, Jessica. Thank you so much for presenting today. You have had a very interesting career, and your hard work is incredibly transparent. Your position with Magellan is a testament to your dedication. So congratulations for that. I wanted to extend that to you because you are breaking ground on that. So congratulations. Thank you so much for sharing about how you've broken the barriers, because again, I think that's so important and inspiring for everyone to see. So one of the questions that I have is, you kind of mentioned this, but I don't know that people understand what a big deal this is. Can you tell us a little bit about being a part of the Snowbird team?
Technically, I'm not a part of the Snowbird team. I'm unofficially part of it. My position there is basically just to take care of their engines. So Magellan is contracted as a third party to do all of the maintenance and the rebuilds on their engines. So whenever, like, obviously we work in the same building, I get to see them all the time. We do work as a team, and we do have a lot of good communication back and forth, but we are technically separate, but I do consider myself a part of the team. Yeah.
I also consider you a part of the team. We do have a question that just came through on the live here. So Jessica, did you ever consider piloting outside of the Air Force?
I did. I just never got there. I was kind of lost after I got rejected for medical reasons, just because I had always envisioned being a part of the military and serving my country. And I had to go and find myself and spend a couple of years doing different jobs to try to figure out what I wanted to do. But I honestly enjoy working on the machines better than I like flying them. Yeah, it's much more problem solving for me and mentally exciting to be able to see a problem, fix it, and be able to run it and see it work again. That's where I enjoy it. So
absolutely, there's a lot of job satisfaction there, which I think is very rewarding, right?
Absolutely.
So, you've mentioned that you did achieve your dream, but as we know, as we progress in life, our dreams start to evolve and they get bigger and better. What is your next dream that you'd like to conquer?
Myself personally, I love the aviation field, and I love how accepting they are of me coming in from a different field, like heavy duty. So I'm personally going to be looking into schooling, because you can never have too much school. You can never be too educated. I don't think that's a thing. So I'm going to be going back to school and hopefully getting an aircraft maintenance engineer ticket in the future.
Okay, that's incredible. Do you know where you're planning on taking that?
It all depends on where I am and how much time I would have with my job to kind of make that work. I'm possibly looking at doing it through correspondence online. And if not, my choice would be Stevenson College in Manitoba.
That's incredible. And you're right, education is never wasted. And we're not just saying that because we're speaking to students. It is so true. There's always value in that. So keep pursuing it for sure. That's exciting to hear. And I know that you're going to achieve it because you seem very, very driven. Do you happen to travel a lot, either in your current position or with the snowbird team?
I currently haven't traveled with the snowbird team. I've traveled personally, like for personal travel, and with my family growing up, we moved 7 or 8 times while I was going through school and high school. I actually ended up living in Europe for my grade 12 year, so that was really cool. Got to see a lot. Always travel if you can. You can never travel too much either.
Yes, absolutely. So we do have 2 more questions for you. So the first one is, how long have you been working at your current job?
I have been here since 2019 in September. So just over 2.5 years.
Okay, perfect. We have Parkland School. They'd just like a little bit of insight. So they are starting their fluids unit in grade 8. Jessica, do you work with knowledge of viscosity, flow density, pressure, compressibility of fluids?
We sure do. Luckily, on our end, computers are amazing and they get to do all the calculations for us. However, in previous years, 10, 15, 20 years prior to me even knowing about this, they would actually do all of the calculations and everything by hand and through their head. But I'll actually show you. We have our test cell here. So you guys are kind of behind the scenes with me in here. I had to get permission to shoot in here. So this is the test cell facility. So all of our viscosity of fuel and our fuel flow and everything like that is automatically done by our computers. So it kind of makes my job a little bit easier, but there's so many things to have to watch. So you do have to watch quite a few different things on the computer while you're running an engine. And for those of you who've never seen one, that's a snowbird engine.
That is super cool. I think that's a wonderful thing to show Parkland School, especially when they're going through the unit right now. So it just goes to show that you really do have to have a good understanding. Even though the computer does stuff, I think that you have to know what's going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Yeah, super important.
Yeah. So this one's a bit of a different question, and it is, how did it feel when people made negative comments about your gender?
Honestly, it gets to you after a while, and I would always focus on that. I'm always so hard on myself, so I would focus on the negative comments, and I kind of took them to heart. And that's why I left my previous trade, because it was consistently negative comments. And like, you do meet people throughout your jobs who are super supportive of you, and that's what makes it better, and they make you believe in yourself. But you have to take time, self-care, and take care of yourself, and remind yourself that's just their own insecurities. It's not anything to do with me, it's all them, and they're just saying it because they're insecure, because maybe they're jealous or something. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have touched on a lot of points about that. I know that you have said, you regretted saying things in the moment, but at the time, sometimes you're just trying to get through it, and that's the best way to manage it. So I think that you've overcome things now, and you give a lot of amazing advice for people on how to make it through these comments and make it through these environments. But I am so thrilled to hear that you're in an environment now that is very accepting and encouraging and sees your worth and value and your hard work, because that truly is what makes you who you are.
Absolutely. My team here, I couldn't say enough great things about them. They're amazing people, and they're super supportive. And even just the difference coming into the aircraft field, there was no question how different it was. And it changes your life for the better, and it makes you feel so much better about yourself as a person. And as a coworker, it just makes you a better teammate. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing today, Jessica. And we are now going to move on over to Kim.
Thanks.
Hello.
Kimberly, thank you so much for presenting today and making that beautiful video.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we really appreciate you sharing your journey. You did speak about your pilot training, and I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. With it being 15 weeks, flying 7 days a week, sometimes up to 3 days, that's an incredible commitment. So congratulations on passing your PPL, especially in such a short period of time. So that truly is a testament to your hard work and dedication as well. So congratulations. Very inspiring for folks to hear how quickly you can progress through when you put your mind to it. So excellent job on that. I was just wondering if you could speak to the pilot training a little bit more and what kinds of experiences you encountered, positive, negative, anything that you'd like to share.
Well, I was lucky enough to be able to complete the ground school during the pandemic. It actually worked perfectly with my schedule, working full time and being a single mother of two. So it was just a perfect combination. And I am very lucky to have the support of my team at Manitoba Aerospace. They've always known about my dream of becoming a pilot. So without their support, there is no way that I would have been able to accomplish all of that, because I was still working full time. Although I was at FNTI for the summer. So it was very, very hard being away from my children. And I think that was my number one motivation for pushing me to be able to at least make it to my flight test, because there was so many times I can't even tell you that I wanted to quit, but I'm so glad I didn't, because it really was like one of the best moments of my entire life, and it was worth it. Sorry, just getting emotional about it, just because it's still so fresh in my memory. So after leaving FNTI and then coming back to Manitoba and then getting settled back into my schedule and my children's school schedule, I made the decision to transfer from FNTI to a local flight school, which is called Harv's Air Flight Training. So I'm working right now on my night rating. And once that's complete, I'll be moving on to my commercial license training. So I'm very excited about that and looking forward to it. But yeah, like I had tried 9 other times to complete my private pilot's license, and just due to funding, it never worked out. But I'm glad I didn't give up, because on the 10th try, I was successful, and it's opened up a lot of doors for me. And yeah, it's not easy, but it is worth it if this is a path that you want to take. Just keep working hard, and there is a lot of studying and reading, but I can guarantee you that it's worth all of it. I love to fly, and I'm so glad that I chose to follow my dream. And I want to thank you guys again for having me today.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kimberly. You've given so much insight into your career and your life story as well. So thank you so much for sharing and being with us today. I know that you have to go. We'd love to chat with you more, but have a wonderful International Women's Day. And thank you again for joining us.
Okay, thanks. Have a good rest of your day, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, Nicole, we're going to put you on the spot now. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for that beautiful video. I felt like I was flying, minus the air sickness. So I very much appreciate that. It was beautiful.
No worries. Yeah, it was a fellow captain helped me put it together, so that was fun.
Yeah,
I just thought like that's a unique view. Not a lot of people get to see a day in the life. So
absolutely. I think it's so neat too, because I was going to ask, what does a day look for you? But you've really given us that video, which showed us all of that. So there are quite a few questions on the chat here. So I'm just going to make sure I'm not missing any. So to everyone who is tuning in right now, if I do miss it, just throw it in the chat again. So for your first question, Nicole, how important is physics in flying a plane? And what courses did you need to take to become a pilot?
So I went to Confederation College and completed the Aviation Flight Management program. In there, we did, I think it was 2 physics classes. Physics really just helps you with understanding like the theory of flight and how your plane's going to react to different times, like when different things happen to it. Yeah, it's good just to have a general knowledge of that so you can apply it while you're flying.
So people should not drop out of physics class is what you're saying.
No.
Excellent. One more question well, there's a few, but we have, how long does it take to become a pilot?
So the course that I did at Confederation College was about 1.5 years. It was 2 years in school technically, and then we did the summer of flying, so it wasn't too bad. And then then I get my commercial license. At the time, I had to be a pilot and waiting for 2 years before actually flying at Air Tindy, but that was just the way it was in the industry at that time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, we have, did you relocate to Yellowknife for this position, or did you grow up there?
Yeah, I relocated for the position. I grew up in Ontario, Welland, Ontario. I went to flight school in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and then moved to Yellowknife because it was the only place that offered me a job, but I'm so glad because it's been quite the opportunity.
Oh, definitely. It seems like there's been a lot of amazing adventures that you've had, so great opportunity for sure. This question is, how far have you been from Winnipeg? So maybe what's the furthest location from there that you've been?
From there, I've flown into Winnipeg from Yellowknife. I've flown into Mold Bay, which is Prince Patrick Island up in the high Arctic. It's an old weather station that is being remediated. So that's probably the furthest from Winnipeg I've ever flown. But yeah, I've actually been able to fly out of Winnipeg, which is cool. We've done evacuations out of Little Grand Rapids for fires.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Okay. We also have, how long does it take to become a captain?
So I guess it depends on the aircraft that you're flying and the company that you're working for. For me, I've been at Air Tindy for 6 years now. So I just got promoted in November to captain. I was a first officer on the Dash 7 for 3 years, and then 6 months first officer on the Twin Otter before that. So yeah, I think it just depends on the company and the route that you take, but I'm happy for all the time that I sat in the right seat because I got to learn from the amazing people I flew with. Like, they have so much great experience. So my advice would be just to soak it all in and ask all the questions you can while you're sitting next to someone so knowledgeable.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. So we actually had that echoed in a session prior. Someone had mentioned the same thing, that everyone has something to offer. So just soak it all up and take that knowledge where you can. So great advice. This question is fun. Do you have a favorite style of flying? So wheels, skis, floats?
I really, really enjoyed flying floats as a first officer. I am not checked out on it as a captain. Maybe in the future it would be a lot of fun, but every day it's just so nice to be outside, and it's a lot more challenging, which I liked. Like, feels like you're learning a lot more. So I'd say that was my favorite. Okay,
that's terrific. And then I guess along the same lines, what types of planes have you flown?
So in flight school it was Cessna 172. I did my float rating on a Cessna 180, and then Twin Otter and Dash 7. And those are both de Havilland aircraft. I really enjoy flying de Havilland aircraft.
That's great. Did you have your float rating before this job, or did you obtain that once you were hired?
I did have it before because it was part of graduating at Confederation College at that time. But some people show up at Air Tindy and then they do it afterwards. They can go down to BC or something and get it done. It's easy. It's an 8-hour rating, so it's not that hard to get.
Okay, that's neat. This one is a little bit deeper, and it might have a bit more meaning to you. So when did you become interested in flying? And I'll add on to that, what made you interested in flying?
So my dad's actually an AME mechanic. And so he always wanted to be a pilot as well. He couldn't get his medical due to medical reasons as well. And so he's always been so interested in that. I grew up going to every air show that we could drive to. So I guess I just always grew up around it, and I always enjoyed driving things. And then it kind of was a natural progression, and I'm really glad that I did it. I love my job.
You can definitely tell that you do, especially from the video just showing how passionate you are about it. That's very neat. So I think what we'll do now is I have a couple of questions that I'd like to ask both yourself and Jessica. So if Jessica can come on back, we are going to ask not so much group questions, maybe a bit of a panel question. Hello, Jessica, welcome back.
Hey, good to be back.
Excellent. So this is my favorite question for today, and I would love to ask you both. So what is the best piece of advice that you received when you were going into your jobs? So it could be any of your jobs, because Jessica, I know you have like quite the background and a bit of a range. So if you could think back, what's something that you reflect on and that really drove you to be successful in your careers? And we'll start with whoever looks the most confused. And just kidding, we will start with Nicole, if you don't mind.
Okay. I remember it was my dad. He always said that you can do anything you put your mind to. I know it's so simple, but I've thought about it a lot, like when I struggled with things, and just to mute out all the background noise and just put my mind to it, I guess. Yeah.
No, that's perfect. And I think sometimes the most simplistic are the ones that go into our brain and inspire us the most. So that's excellent. Thank you. Jessica, what about you?
If I had to pick one, there's so many people who have influenced me in so many different ways, but probably my dad. He basically was just there every step of the way, and he always had the right thing to say, but he always emphasized that women can do anything that men can do. So I guess that's what I'll pick. There's so many.
Yeah, right. And that's so encouraging. And you did mention that your parents were the ones to really help you through and always be there to encourage you. So it sounds to me like those were really your biggest mentors throughout, which is incredible. I think we all deserve to have mentors at every stage of our lives and at every point in our careers. So thank you for sharing that. That's very nice. One thing I'm going to ask Nicole, Jessica, we've already asked you this, so you can just take a couple minutes off. Nicole, now that you are a captain, what is the next goal that you're wanting to achieve?
I think I would like to be a -7 captain. It's a bigger job. Like, you have more crew members that you're in charge of. And I think that would be the end goal for now. The -7 won't be around for much longer. It's near the end of its life, but I would like to while I can. Yeah. I really enjoyed the flying that it does and the loads that it had, and it was a big challenge. So I think that would be my next step.
Yeah, big challenges are always the best kind of goals, right? They're so rewarding when you achieve them. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And I know, Jessica, we're going to get you to come on back. We're going to ask another team question here. So this one might be a little bit different. I don't know the answer, so it's a great question to pose. What are some different paths that your jobs have? So you both have unique specializations, but are there other areas that people can specialize in? And we will start with Jessica this time, if you don't mind.
Yep, absolutely. I would say personally as myself, for jet engine specialties, they're really null. There's not too many of them out there. So AME would probably be the different route that you could take. And you could go into aircraft structures or like engines, avionics. Pretty much there's so many different options that you can choose from. And in my opinion, you can never have too many under your belt. So if you go for avionics courses, go for an ACS course, or go get tickets on an engine or something. Just always build it, and then you become a much more well-rounded technician.
Yeah, that's excellent to hear. And Tanya was actually speaking about that in the previous session, just talking about how if you just get to know what other people are doing around you, and there's just a good, healthy respect for what other people do on your team. So that's a great thing to highlight for sure. Nicole, what about yourself?
There's lots of different parts of the industry that you can fly in. So I'm doing like bush flying, but you could work for airlines. Your lifestyle is a little bit different and the type of flying you do is different. Like medevac, it's the same thing. There's lots of different types, which is very interesting, and you just have to figure out what lifestyle you want and what type of flying that you want to do.
Yeah, excellent. That's a really good point, right? Because we all have, again, different lifestyles and different goals, and it's just finding what fits for you. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. We have about 5 minutes left. So the last question that I'd like to ask you both is just what are some words of encouragement or some advice that you'd like to give the folks that are watching right now to pursue, let's hope, a career in aviation or truly wherever they decide is best for them? And we'll start with Jessica.
Words of encouragement, find people who support you. Going back to my speech, find something that excites you. I hope it's aviation. Aviation's awesome. And don't ever give up on your dreams, and always set goals for yourself. Set achievable ones. Set a week goal, and then a month goal, and then a year goal. Set as many goals as you can, but make them achievable. Don't make them unattainable.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you're looking for inspiration, there was 3 wonderful speakers today that could provide you with that. Nicole.
Yeah, I would say just, yeah, Jessica said it really well. Just, yeah, make your goals and just, you can do anything you put your mind to, like my dad said. Don't let anything stop you.
That's perfect. Thanks so much, Nicole. Thank you, Jessica. I'm now going to hand it over to Cassandra for our final words for this session.
Thanks, Emily. And I just want to say a thank you to you for being the moderator. Like, I've truly enjoyed having you on here with me all day today. So thank you so much. And I would like to say a big thank you to Jessica, Kim, and Nicole for taking the time to participate in the cross-country tour this year. And thank you to all of our attendees for being here. If you have any further questions about what you heard today, please send us an email. Our email address is info@elevateaviation.ca. And don't forget to visit the Elevate Aviation website for more information about what we do. Thank you and have an amazing day, and happy International Women's Day.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you so much.